This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Reacting today to the 3 fourth-round picks the Patriots just took. Draft is still going on. Patriots don't pick for a little while. They traded away their 5th-round pick to the Chiefs to move up in that 2nd round to move up 4 picks. So a couple interesting guys they took here. And another guy that just went off the board, Tariq Woolen to Seattle. That was an interesting pick for the Patriots. But they got 2 corners. I don't think they take a 3rd one, so that's probably it for them there. But it's today's been a interesting day. I think they took some quality players, a couple surprises here and there, but overall they added some players that should help this team. So I'm here with my co-host Chase Campbell. How's it going, Chase?
Good. It was an interesting day at first when they first get on and make a couple selections here. You get double dip at corner and a guy that they seemed interested in taking, Jack Jones, and a guy that has all the skills in the world, maybe a little bit light in the on the weight category. If you didn't hear his story, he was at USC, got taken off of the roster because of some issues he had with grades, went to a JUCO, bounced back to ASU, and then he was a little bit skinny there. So got to get some weight on him, but he visited with New England a bunch of times. He has all the skills in the world. And then something that we thought all along is that they were going to go running back with the uncertainty of what James White's future holds, what Damian Harris's future holds. They struck gold with Ramondre Stevenson last draft in the 4th round, and then they go out and they take one of the best running backs right here in Pierre Strong Jr., in my opinion. Rushed for over 1,600 yards, 7 yards per carry, had really good numbers, yards after contact. I think he's a good, strong physical back, and I expect him to probably redshirt this year, but I think that in the long run, this is a good pick for New England.
Yeah, and that's usually what New England does with these rookie running backs is redshirts them. Good thing. I mean, they'll have plenty of depth, so hopefully they don't need to use this guy this year. If they do, he's a talented running back, average, I think, what'd you say, 7.277 yards per carry, which is really great. At over 800 yards after contact. This kid's a talented running back. So we figured they would take one. They ended up taking one here in the 4th round. And Jack Jones was a guy that they met with a lot. They had a lot of interactions with him. He said he was surprised when they took him, but it was pretty clear that the Patriots were interested in this kid. And yesterday they took a corner who's going to play more in the slot, and he's a smaller body. Jack Jones is also not the biggest weight wise, but he's a guy who's good man coverage and can play a little more outside corner than a guy like Marcus Jones yesterday the Patriots took. So a few interesting picks here. Obviously one we didn't expect. Patriots took a quarterback, Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky. That was surprising. I didn't really think we needed a quarterback here in the 4th round, but maybe that's their replacement for Stidham, and maybe they're going to trade Stidham and Nikhil and end up acquiring another draft pick at some point here today. So a few interesting picks. I like the first 2. I like Pierre Strong. I like Jack Jones. I think those are solid picks. They double dipped at corner. I think Juwan Williams is probably going to be out of here pretty soon. So overall, solid day so far.
Yeah, the Zappi picks definitely caught me by surprise where you take Mac Jones last year, and Bailey Zappi is not coming in to take Mac Jones' spot, guys. Like, this is New England has taken 7 3rd or 4th round quarterbacks since 2001. I just read that stat. They always covet guys like this. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jarrett Stidham. They take guys like this and they have them as backups. And Bailey Zappi is a dang good backup quarterback that I think could, even help Mac progress a little.
Really
he
smart.
Had the most, very smart, best Wonderlic score by a quarterback. He had the most deep yards passing last year of all quarterbacks at 1,800. He had, the 3rd most screen yards. So he has a good mix of both deep balls, short balls. Transferred from a lower division school at, where was he before? They said it, and now I'm blanking on where it was.
I can't remember either.
Small school, anyways, comes to Western Kentucky, just continues to dominate. He threw for, what were his stats again? 5,900 yards and 62 touchdowns last year. 62
Joe
touchdowns.
Burrow's record or something,
Yes.
right? For
with 11 interceptions, a passer rating of 118 for the whole year. 68% completion percentage. I mean, he's a gunslinger. He's a guy that comes in, he can throw the rock. If anything happens to Mac Jones, Bailey Zappe's going to come in and he's going to be, a good quality quarterback that's not going to win you many games, but he's not going to lose you many games. And that's might be what people are saying about Mac Jones, but Mac Jones' ceiling is so much higher than Bailey Zappe's. But he's very comparable. I like the pick here. Maybe not in the 4th, but I think that the quarterback, and at this point, like, shit, New England don't care if they're reaching, right? It don't matter.
Yeah, look at their first 2 picks. They're just, at this point, they're getting the player they want. They don't care where they take him, which is not a good philosophy to have. I really do not like that. But at the end of the day, if the Patriots are getting players they feel really strongly about, it's hard to be too upset. And hopefully their strong feelings about that turn out to be correct. But it was interesting. Matt Groh yesterday in his interview after the draft last night, he was very passionate and almost defensive about some of these picks. And you like to see that. Like he certainly had a lot of conviction about the players they took and how they feel happy about those guys and they're excited about those guys. I hope the conviction that they have about these players ends up being right, because obviously a lot of people feel like they reached on these guys, but if they like the player, they got him. That's great. You got to be happy about that. This kid, Bailey Zappi, is going to be a career backup. Stidham's gone, most likely, I would assume. He obviously was hurt last year, wasn't here for a while, but you got Brian Hoyer, you got Bailey Zappi, and Mac Jones. And like you said, this kid is going to be, he's smart, should be able to pick up the playbook well, and just a guy who, the worst case scenario, if Mac gets hurt, this guy can fill in for a game or whatever it ends up being, and try to be serviceable enough to get us by, just by being safe, making the right decision, all that stuff. So a little early, like we both agree on. There was a couple other guys I would have liked the Patriots to take. Still, they haven't taken a linebacker. That's got to tell me that maybe they feel pretty good about the linebackers they have right now. Jawan Bentley, Mac Wilson, Cam McGrone, Anthony Jennings, couple other guys. So quarterback was surprising. Certainly, I like the other 2 picks, but it's hard to be upset with them. Jarrett Stidham's going to be out of here soon. Quarterback is a vital position. If somebody gets hurt, you need somebody who can at least fill in and not ruin your whole season based off one injury. Yeah,
I think that is very telling what Bill and this team thinks of the linebacker room, is that they aren't taking linebackers. And maybe they still have 4 picks as of right now. Maybe they snag one in the late rounds, but they obviously, whether it's Anthony Jennings or Raekwon McMillan, there's a guy in there that I think that they maybe view as a wild card, and they're like, oh, well, we'll give them a chance. And if it still doesn't work out next year, they're young, we'll go get we'll try to take a high, pick on a linebacker next year. But that's very telling. I like double dipping at corner. That was a big position needs. The problem with me for that is they're both small and they're both projected to be really good slot corners. Jack Jones can be more of an outside corner than a slot guy, but both of them as of right now are slot corners. I felt like we needed a true outside guy. I would have loved Tyreek Woolen, maybe a really raw prospect, but athletically, he's a freak.
You want to get faster on defense.
His testing numbers, he ran I'll pull this up right here. I just had it up and then I pulled it away to look at something else. But he measures at 6'4". Come on. Let me arrow down, PFF. So at the combine, he measures at 6'4", 205 pounds. And he has a 34-inch arm length, like massive arms. Ran a 4.26, had a 42-inch vertical jump, a 10'11" broad, and a 7'10" 3-cone. So the dude's in the 100th percentile for multiple things. His height, his arm length, his 40-yard dash, and then 98 for his vertical jump. So athlete alone, physically, this guy can do it. It's just whether he's going to, develop into one of those corners. So that can be a true lockdown that New England can use. The other one that I like, and he's currently still on the board, Zion McCollum. I don't think they go grab another quarterback, but you never know. But that's a guy that I like. So I like the Jack Jones pick. They obviously had, a lot of eyes on him and pre-draft thoughts and visits with him. So they like Jack Jones. So I don't hate that pick at all, but I just thought that personally there were other corners on the board that I thought maybe fit New England right away, needing a true outside guy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, our next pick is in the 6th round, pick 183. So coming up here in about 30 picks. Gabe is excited about the Bailey Zappi pick. There we go. Even though that means Riff Raff is gone or whatever, Rick Ross, whoever. Jarrett Stidham's gone probably after that. How do we feel about the draft? I think we've talked about it. Value, not the best. They got players at positions of need, which is always good, but you feel like you could have gotten these guys a little later. But overall, the players that we've gotten are players that we've both been excited about. And at the end of the day, you want to get players who are going to contribute on your football team. I think we did that for the most part. I think we could have got 1 or 2 more high-end contributors if we didn't reach on these guys, but it is what it is. It's the Patriots. Their draft board is so different from every other team. That's not usually a good thing, but it is what it is. That's how I feel. How about you, Jace?
Yeah, I agree with Jungle. I put it right at close to a C plus, maybe a C. I think value-wise, it's horrible, but like you mentioned, the players they got, the positions of need they addressed, and honestly, like what they were trying to do, if you just look at everyone, it's more athletes, it's positions of needs, and it's experience. It's things that New England has done. So I don't hate kind of the plan they were going in with, but I hate where they drafted some of these guys at. Cole Strange in the 3rd would have been awesome. Even if they took him in the 2nd, it would have been better than taking him at 29. Jack Jones is good value there. Tyquan Thornton. It sounds like there is a team ahead of New England at 54 that really wanted him. So that's why New England had to draft him at 50. So if that's the case, I mean, if it's Pittsburgh, we all know their history with drafting receivers. If they were high on him, maybe he is going to turn out to be a good 2nd round pick with that true, deep threat speed. So right now I'd give it right around a C plus, but that could easily change by next year depending on, how these guys perform.
Yeah, and I agree. Pierre Strong, solid running back, never fumbled in his college career. Watched multiple Jacks games. I go to school there. He's patient and explosive. He can develop in the pass game as well. Yeah, so that's one thing about Pierre Strong is they didn't use him a ton in the pass game, but Patriots know how to find ways to use these guys in pass blocking. He can improve and in the passing game. So that'll be interesting to see how they use him. I think Patriots should trade N'Keal soon. Hey, this is the spot to do it late in the draft. You want to acquire another pick. Maybe they trade N'Keal for a 6th or 7th, whatever, and use a couple picks to move back up into the 5th. It's going to be. I think they're going to move up at some point. They got 4 more picks left, right? 4 more picks left today. Yes. So I'd be surprised if they make all those. Maybe they do, but I think trading N'Keal would probably be a smart move at this point.
Zion McCollum just went to Tampa Bay at 157. So both of our 2 top corners still on the board are now off. That's good value for them there. Darian Beavers, yeah, he would probably be. Let's see, I updated this. Obviously, McCollum's gone too, but I'd still think getting an edge guy in Kingsley Mbaré with his value right here. He's a guy that can play both the run and the pass, set the edge. Beavers, I like. I spelled that wrong. Sorry. Jamari Sawyer. I forget how to say it, but offensive guard out of Georgia, big thumper. And then if you need a big defensive tackle, you got Matthew Butler. So I think now you're looking at who's going to, contribute right away or come in and at least find a position of need. And we all know that you can't predict anything, but those would be the guys. The other one is we've seen a lot of punters came off, but not Matt Ariza. Maybe they go punter there and, drop Jake Bailey's $4 million salary. So that's something that could happen.
Yeah, that's one position of need, you could say, depending on if you want to keep Jake Bailey and pay him that money. He didn't have his best year last year, so trading up, getting Ariza, maybe they feel like that's worth it. They address running back. They haven't, like you said, they haven't addressed edge. They haven't addressed linebacker. They haven't addressed tackle. Mm-hmm. They haven't addressed safety. So there's still plenty of positions that the Patriots could use these last 4 picks on. Maybe they want to make these picks. I mean, I still think they would trade up into the 5th, but they tend to, for some reason, not love 5th round picks, it seems like. So maybe they end up staying where they're at, standing pat, and taking 4 picks. Maybe it's a tackle, edge, punter, and whatever else. So they got running back a little earlier than expected, but the kid is talented. I wonder what this means for Damian Harris. I wonder what their thoughts are, because, I mean, if you extend Damian Harris and you have Damian Harris, Ramondre, and James White, and Pierre Strong next year, like after you say he redshirts this year, that's I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of carries that aren't going to be going around to everybody. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. What other positions we need other than linebacker? I think linebacker. I think you mentioned tackle, offensive tackle. They haven't gotten defensive tackle, edge. I think you need to find a guy for the front seven. That's why I really like Kingsley Ngbare out of South Carolina here. In the tackles, I mean, outside of Isaiah Wynn and Trent Brown, and those guys really aren't in future contracts. It's Isaiah Wynn's 1 year, and then Trent Brown just signed his 2-year deal. So it will be interesting to see what they do with that tackle position. So you got some news?
And no, not news necessarily, but interesting tidbit about Pierre Strong. He also threw 6 touchdown passes in college, including 4 last season. Said he used to play quarterback growing up and loves to have the ball in his hands on trick plays. It's still with me. I can throw it a bit. So
okay.
There you go.
Get him a little scout
they
team
draft
quarterback.
2 quarterbacks back to back with Pierre Strong.
Josh has 3 picks in the 6th. Woolen, Ariza, Beavers. Woolen's gone, and I don't expect him to take another corner. Maybe they do, but I'd expect it to be a front 7 guy, a linebacker, and then maybe a tackle. Maybe they take Ariza. I wouldn't be mad if they got Ariza in the 6th. That's tremendous value. People were saying he's a day 2 pick type of guy. So if they get Ariza in the 6th, that's something that a lot of Patriots fans should be happy about, especially if you can cut Jake Bailey's $4 million salary.
Yeah, I think we need to take a swing at Wynn's replacement. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get a water boy yet?
We got how many picks have we had? We've got 6 of them.
Yeah.
We've got 6 brand new water boys that will be running out to Mac and them this year.
We got Mac Jones to be the water boy to the Bailey Zappi, the new quarterback, the new QB1 starter. Jack Jones was arrested previously for breaking into a Panda Express at 3 a.m. Was that really what he got arrested for? I know he got arrested.
Gabe's a troll, so I don't know. I know he's had some off the field issues. I don't know if that's actually it though, but
he did get arrested. I don't know what it was for though. I didn't see what it was for. So I can't tell if Gabe, are you serious or are you just joking around? I can't tell. McCollum is gone, sad. Yeah, I think he would have been a great fit. I'm surprised they didn't like him enough to take him at one of these spots. Yeah. That was kind of interesting, but
yeah. So let's see. I'm going to update the big board since we just had a couple of guys go off. I think that you're looking at a couple positions here. I don't know if there's one that stands out, but I think you still got to get linebacker, a tackle that can, sit behind Trent Brown or Isaiah Wynn and develop into something once they're gone. And then maybe a front 7 guy, like I mentioned.
Yeah. Gabe says Gabe has not had any off the field issues. Jack Jones, however, has in an evolved Panda Express. All right. So maybe I still can't. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was that. Why not Woolen or Zion over Jones? I mean, it's a fair question. I mean, those 2 guys have a lot of upside, but they seem to really like Jack Jones. Obviously, we just talked about they met with him a bunch, so they probably have a pretty good feel of how he is as a player. And if he didn't have those off the field issues, he probably would be getting drafted higher. And that's kind of the thing. People compared him to the J.C. Jackson situation. The only reason J.C. was in the situation he was in was because of some of those off the field issues. So the kid's talented. He's got potential, and Patriots usually seem to get the best out of guys like that. They have quite a track history of taking players with some off the field issues and stuff like that and turning them into good players. So I like the pick. That was one of my favorite picks, honestly. I love Woolen and Zion McCollum. Both those guys are really talented, high upside players, but it's hard to be too upset with getting a corner at a position in need that they got a guy.
Yeah, the only problem I have with it is what I've said multiple times is it's 2 small corners. It's 5'8" and 5'10". You don't get a guy that maybe can lock up bigger dudes on the outside, but you're getting a lot faster and a lot more athletic, which if you look at the receivers in the division, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, they're not the biggest guys, but they're guys that can shake you and create separation with speed. So they're getting more athletic in the secondary, which I think is something that they talked about going in there. The only thing that still they haven't gotten much more athletic at is the linebacker position, and that's still a concern, but it gives me a little bit more comfort that maybe Bill has a little bit more faith in the Cameron McGrone, Raekwon McMillan, Amfrey Jennings, one of those guys or a couple of them to step up, and the Mac Wilson trade.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is if you think about it, they technically are adding 2 speedy type linebackers to the defense this offseason. Cameron McGrone obviously missed the entire year last year. So he's one guy who wasn't playing last year who's going to play this year. And then Mac Wilson they traded for. So they got 2 guys there, along with adding Jawan Bentley back, who's going to be that run-stopping linebacker. So it seems like they feel pretty good about the linebacker position. Matt Groh was asked about it, and he said they feel good about the guys they have. That doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to take somebody. I still would. But they seem to feel good about that position. I still think edge, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, all positions in need. So hopefully they address those with the last 4 picks that they got in this draft.
Yeah, and I still think, last night we ended it, but Chenal and Tyndall going at the end of the 4th or end of the 3rd would have been tremendous for New England if they stayed at 94. And obviously they didn't like one of them or didn't want them enough, but Chenal at 94, if they would have stayed there, would have been such a good fit for New England. And what I think we didn't we get what pick did we get for trading down? We got pick 121 or something. So I mean, you take away an extra 4th round pick, but still, if you're telling me you get Chenal at 94, still double dip with don't clip that one, guys. You double dip with Jack Jones at corner and then take Pierre Strong with your next 4th, and maybe Bailey Zappi you don't get. I mean, that would make me feel a lot better than what I am now. But
yeah, for trading down, we got the 29th pick, the 94th, and the 121st. So what
about when we traded down in the 3rd? Do you remember what that was? We got a future 3rd.
Carolina? We got
a future 3rd and
137.
So that's what we took Bailey Zappi with. So that's my point, is you still would have had pick 121 and 127 to take Jack Jones and Pierre Strong, and then you don't have that extra 4th, but you keep 94. Yeah. But the thing that made that trade is no one will be complaining about it early 3rd next year. Probably a top 60, maybe top 65 3rd round pick next year from Carolina. So that 2023 3rd that we gained in the trade last night is probably the main reason New England traded down last night from 94.
Yeah, if we're lucky, we get that pick in the late 60s. Probably realistically in the 70s, probably 70 to 75 with that pick from Carolina. But that's great value. I mean, you're acquiring a pick next year that's what, like 20 or like 15 picks earlier than it was going to be this year. And then you also pick up a 4th, and that's the replacement for Jarrett Stidham, it seems, a longtime backup. So we'll have this kid for 4 years. That's going to be the rest of Mac's rookie deal, assuming they pick up his 5th-year option. So we'll have the quarterback position covered. We shouldn't have to touch that for a little while. We got Brian Hoyer for the next 2 years. So obviously a little early, but it is what it is. Okay.
The double Jones, double Dick defense. There it is, Gabe. My face is going to be plastered on Instagram for the next 24 hours because Gabe is already going to meme that up. I already know. And I fully welcome it, Gabe. If I stumble like that, I deserve it to be on your meme page. So
hey, I messed up. I don't know if it was yesterday or the 1st round. I think it was yesterday. But I don't know if anybody caught it. But it was almost bad. I think Bill wanted to get faster at cornerback, and that's why we didn't pay JC. I just think he didn't want to give JC that much money. It's kind of a head scratcher. We'll see how he does in Los Angeles this year, but I still don't really know why we didn't give him the money that he ended up getting from the Chargers. I know we didn't want to give him that much guaranteed up front like the Chargers did, and that's kind of probably why JC leaned to the Chargers, but apparently the Patriots weren't even really close to that offer. So that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know what the deal was with JC. So I'm sure someday we'll find out. JC kind of has a big mouth, so he'll probably tell everybody at some point. I don't know if he'll say anything bad about the Patriots or not, but we've seen that in the past from some people.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find exactly. So Jack Jones ran a 4.5 140 at his pro day. He didn't go to the combine, and I'm not sure if Marcus Jones ran a 40. I'm trying to find that.
I thought it was like 4.37 or something.
Because I don't think Marcus Jones ran at the combine either.
No.
Well, I thought he had the shoulder problems.
Josh,
I'll try to.
Yeah, Josh says basically got Parker for free in that trade. Yeah, I mean, we thought that they were just going to use the JC comp pick, which should be the first comp pick in the 3rd round. Like that should be the first comp pick next year. The Patriots should have that from JC. I think he signed the biggest deal, so they'll have not only that, but they'll have a early to mid round 3rd round pick next year. So well, we're already acquiring capital for next season, and we still got 4 more picks this draft. I know they're later. It's a little bit frustrating that we didn't acquire more high impact players in the first 3 rounds, but they got a couple guys that they feel good about. They added speed on the offensive side of the ball. They got a guard they feel good about, who's athletic, good in the run game. If he can improve a little in the pass game, hopefully he's a long-term solution at that position for us. But they got some interesting prospects, just not a lot of the ones that we were loving and really wanted the Patriots to get. But that kind of seems to happen just about every year, except that last year they gave us one draft where they gave us everybody we wanted, and it turned out great. So maybe they should do that every year.
Yeah. Gabe says, Jace, I feel like we had Jack Jones in our first mock. Yeah, we didn't post that, but I remember mocking Jack Jones to New England a couple times. I want to say I did it in one of my other mock drafts too. I'm trying to pull that up on my Instagram page, but I mean, he was drawing interest from New England. Yeah, I mocked him to New England in my second mock draft at pick 210. But so New England had interest in him, and I think that the reason he fell, like we all mentioned, is that there's off the field issues and a little bit of uncertainty with his weight. But he definitely can be one of those guys that Bill turns into a pretty good quality cornerback. It's will be interesting to see if he can make some magic out of these last 2 picks. But he has the speed. 4.51 is pretty good speed. I mean, that's not lacking speed at all. Elite speed would be like a 4.37, like we saw Tyreek Woolen run, but that's elite speed. So he has enough speed to play that position.
JC Jackson about to be the Asante Samuel, former Patriots. Marcus Jones is a steal of the draft. I think that's probably right around where he was projected to go. He was the most like chalk. This is where he's projected to go pick that the Patriots have made so far. Everybody else was pretty much a reach for the rest of the draft standard, the rest of the teams.
I will say the thing that should intrigue Patriots fans about Marcus Jones is he does have a lot of ability for special teams, and that doesn't make him
a lot.
But I'm not saying that like if he was a 5th round pick, then it would justify New England taking him in the 3rd round. But getting him where he was around, projected at least around in the 3rd round pick, and his ability to return punts. He played receiver a couple games in college, and he has highlights. New England on their YouTube channel posted a video of his highlights, of Marcus Jones highlights, and the first 5 plays are him playing receiver. And then he has a couple punt returns, then he has cornerback ones. So you talk about Bill Belichick loving versatility. Marcus Jones is going to bring you the versatility, not only on defense, but if they want to put him on offense, which I don't know if they would, but in the return game too. And, Gunner's not here anymore. So maybe this guy comes in day 1 punt returner, kickoff returner for New England.
That's going to be intriguing because they added a couple guys. I know Jabril Peppers was one that has returned punts or kicks or one or the other. So this kid is electric. You go turn on his highlight tape, and like you said, offense, defense, special teams, he does all 3. If he can give you something on defense and be a really solid slot corner, and can also give you that explosive weapon in the return game, I think that's worth it for a guy who was projected to go here. I think that's a good pick. So I like what the Patriots did here. Obviously, we need an outside corner more than a slot corner. We already got Jonathan Jones, but his contract's expiring soon. He's getting older. Maybe this is the guy who's the replacement, and they use him as a weapon on special teams, because clearly Belichick was not happy with the special teams production last year, not only just in the return game, but overall punting. We got some punts blocked. We didn't really do much. So that year, Gunner, when he had a great year, that did a lot for us, and getting a touchdown off a punt return can really swing the momentum of a game and give your team a much better chance to win the game when you score on special teams. So this guy's a really intriguing prospect. If you haven't watched his tape yet, go turn on his highlight reel, because this kid, he's explosive. He's got some talent.
Yeah. Gabe's saying he's surprised Bo Melton's not off the board and that New England hasn't jumped on him. Yeah, 4.3 speed out of Rutgers. We all know Bill Belichick's connection with Rutgers. And, New England's team of the draft, they got the fastest running back. They got the fastest receiver at the combine. Bo Melton ran 4.33, add some more speed there. He's not the big type of bodied receiver like we would have with like Nelson Aguilar or Tyquan Thornton, but you get 5'11" out of Bo Melton, and the dude can fly. So if there were to be a receiver coming off the board here for New England, I would say it's Bo Melton probably would be number 1 for me. Justin Ross is intriguing out of Clemson. He didn't play much because of an ACL injury, but he's 6'4", 205, and was incredible his freshman year out of college. But then again, that's another big-bodied receiver that New England's adding to the room with the addition of Devontae Parker and Tyquan Thornton. So I look for duplication at these positions, and is New England really going to go after another big-bodied receiver? I think if they're going after one, it's kind of like what Gabe said. It's going to be Bo Melton, a guy from Rutgers. They're going to go Slade Bolden in the 7th. Devin Tompkins is a guy that we've talked about out of Utah State that has, blazing speed. There's a couple, better options, smaller receivers that I think New England could target, so they're not double dipping, duplicating in that receiver room.
Yeah, and I agree with Boston here. No offense to Strap, better pin out. Kraft is clear. Heads will roll if not. I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure from Kraft on the rest of the organization to start drafting better. I mean, he's made it very clear. The Patriots are in the position they're in because they haven't drafted well, and I think everybody knows that. So it's interesting to see them go so off the rails with these picks and choose the players they've chosen and reach for them at certain spots. They must really feel confident about these players, because otherwise, I mean, Kraft can't make it any clearer with his public comments that he's made that the Patriots need to have better drafts, and it starts this year. They had a great draft last year, and like Kraft said, that's a great start, but you got to start doing this every single year. You got to have good drafts. This is how you build your team to have long, sustained success, and the Patriots have not done that in the recent years, and that's why they're in the position they're in. And that's why Tom left. He had nobody around him. The team wasn't good enough, and he ended up where he ended up, and we're in the position we're in right now. So I'm glad we got Mac. We had a great draft last year. Barmore, Ramondre. It's going to be interesting to see what Ronnie Perkins does, Cam McGrone, Josh Bledsoe. So we certainly got pieces from last season. I hope this season we have as many contributors as we did last year.
Yeah, and I think that the first head that would need to roll if this draft class is just an absolute bust is, I think you gotta make a true general manager. And that's nothing against Bill Belichick, but Bill's getting up there in age. Don't let him have the added stress as the general manager. Let him just deal with coaching. He can have his hand in the draft process, right? Obviously, it's his team, but give the general manager role to someone and say, this is your team. You make the decisions. You're the consultant, or you have your consultants. This is your team. I don't know if it's guys are too scared to be like, hey, Bill, no, we don't like this guy. Let's take this. Or if Bill is just he has all the control in the world, but whatever it is, I feel like this whole no general manager thing has never really benefited New England. It's got to be one guy in charge that's making the decisions. That's what I want to see. And I want to see a guy, and sometimes it bites you in the butt, but a Joe Douglas type of guy with the Jets being aggressive like that and going and getting 3 top 10 players, arguably, like that's the type of aggression that, I would love to see New England have, which New England doesn't really need to improve their roster as much as the Jets kind of did. But you're looking at the Jets right now, and you're saying with those 3 additions, their future is looking probably brighter than New England's is right now. So that's the type of aggression that I'd love to see on draft night from, someone that New England could finally try to bring in and let him be in charge.
Yeah. And that's what I'd like to see as well. I think that's what everybody would like to see, but it's a package deal, and you're not getting rid of Belichick, the coach. So I'd be shocked. Maybe if this draft is absolute crap and then we go into next year and it's the same thing, maybe Kraft is like, all right, Bill, like, what are we doing here? This is ridiculous. Everybody gets all these high impact players during the draft, and the Patriots end up just falling further and further behind. And that's what it is. And then Kraft has to open up his pocketbook and spend $100-something million guaranteed money to try to be competitive and finally make the playoffs again. That's kind of how it is. When you can't draft well, you got to spend, and there's a salary cap for a reason. So when people like the Rams, like the Chargers, have these guys who are contributing on young rookie contracts, you can afford to have a guy like Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Odell. You can have all these superstars because you have so many young guys who are on cost-controlled contracts on their rookie deals who are contributing to your team, performing well. And the Patriots haven't done that. So that's why those teams are where they are right now, having success. They have more flexibility to be aggressive because they get contributors at the positions when they make these picks, and the Patriots don't. So we can't judge this draft too much before we see what the product is on the field next year. But looking at it right now, reacting right now, it has been a pretty average draft. And our mock draft, we felt like we got a ton of instant contributors to this team and some guys with potential for the future. And we haven't we haven't done that as much as we thought. Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Lions winning the
Let's go.
Super Bowl. Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams. That's I mean, Jared Goff, he's going to lead you guys to the promised land.
Hey, he went to a Super Bowl before.
I mean,
I like Dan Campbell a lot, but
nothing against the offensive coordinator in Detroit, but he's not close to Sean McVay in my opinion. So
no.
But yeah, Rune Dog, how is Ngbari still available? I don't know. He was a second to third round projected guy. He's the 12th best defensive end on the board according to PFF, and I liked him. He had 16 quarterback hits last year. That was fourth most. 27 pass rush wins. That was seventh most. He plays in a wide 9 technique that Bill seems to like and can set the edge on run, can get to the passer. He's a little bit raw with his technique, but that's something that, if anything, we've seen Bill take guys like this and make them into guys. Like, he takes the athletic guys that are high and falling in the draft, and he, fixes them up, gives them everything that they need to do, all the tools, technique-wise, everything, some stability, and makes into them. I would love to go Ngbari for New England here. He had a 92.5 pass rush grade for PFF last year. That's really dang high, and he tested well. 6'4", 271, almost had 35-inch arms, and, had a 37-inch vertical, and ran a little slow at 4.87 for the edge, but he's a big, edge setter. He's going to, come in and almost be Trey Flowers, like, in my opinion, that can get to the passer, but is still very good in the run. So I would love to take him coming up here in the 6th if he somehow is still on the board.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Jungle says we can't draft well, but we are stingy with our picks. It doesn't make sense. I agree. That's what we were talking about last night. Is the Patriots are so protective over these picks. They don't want to give them away for these players. Like, in certain situations, like, oh, we don't want to give a first round pick for AJ Brown. Like, that's not good value. Whatever. Then they take Cole Strange at 29 with their first pick. It's like, what are we doing? Like, if you can't draft well, use these picks to get good players. And even if you're getting good young players, like we traded Mac Wilson for Chase Winovich, you're getting a young guy who you think is going to contribute on this team. And they're a lot better at evaluating players once they've seen them on an NFL field than in college. And Matt Groh is a guy who is basically a college guy. Like, that's what he does. So hopefully that improves their drafts based on a guy who's focused more to the college game than the NFL, and then Bill can focus his attention on the NFL game. And maybe this is a full Matt Groh draft, but this feels a lot like a Bill Belichick draft with some of the reaches and some of the picks we've made. It's such a different draft philosophy than we had last season with Dave Ziegler at the helm. This is, it's interesting, but I also agree with Matthew here. We still don't know how these guys will pan out. Give it till the end of the year. Exactly. When we come back on next year before the draft, at the end of the season, we'll have our thoughts on how this draft went, and we'll have a better understanding of who these players are and how they contributed. So it's too early to tell just based off our reactions right now, though, based off everybody's consensus boards, based off a lot of the team's consensus boards. The Patriots have reached on a lot of picks here early on.
Yeah, I mean, no one's complaining about the Kyle Duggar pick in the second round, 2 years later, and that was considered a reach for a Division II guy. No one's considering the Logan Mankins pick in 2005 a reach when they reached up and took him. So we don't know. Right now, it's a reach. I mean, we're not going to sugarcoat it. It's a reach right now, but if Bill trusts these guys and that's who it's going to be, then, hopefully, cross your fingers that he was right and he proves us wrong. But that only time can tell with that. That's why it's kind of unfair to jump on this. And you can give your initial grade and have your initial thoughts, but until it's 1-2 years till these guys start seeing the field. I mean, a lot of guys are saying Cameron McGrone's a bust because he took him early last year, doesn't play at all. Same with Ronnie Perkins. Heck, this is probably going to be their first full year of the NFL because they're going to be healthy. They're going to get, another year of experience in the weight room, OTAs, training camp, and hopefully see the field more time. And then you can judge the pick. I still think, until they see the field, you can't really judge these guys.
And one thing we haven't really touched on right now is like, free agency is not over. Like, at this point, after the draft ends today, you can sign whoever you want, and it doesn't account to the comp pick formula. So maybe they say, hey, we're going to go get Odell. We're not going to get Odell probably, but hey, we're going to go get this guy or this guy. Maybe they get a defensive end. Maybe they sign somebody at linebacker. There's plenty of time left. There's still guys out there with a lot of talent. So there's going to be the draft. There's going to be guys undrafted that they'll sign, and then they're still going to sign guys in free agency probably after this. So obviously we want to see the Patriots draft well. That's huge, getting these guys on cheap contracts. But this is just one part of the offseason. Patriots don't have a lot of success here. They have a lot of success usually with guys late in the draft. So maybe they hit on some guys here, undrafted free agency, and then we'll see what they do after the draft ends and we get into more of the final roster type stuff, more of the going into OTAs and all that stuff. So we'll see who they continue to add.
I think it's kind of interesting to look at the Texans draft and how much heat Caserio got in New England, right? A lot of people didn't really like him as a GM, right? Would you say that the consensus was that as a draft GM, maybe not as a GM, but kind of criticized his drafts when he was here?
Yeah. And who knows how much that was Caserio? Who knows how much that was Belichick? That's kind of what we're seeing now. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Look at the Texans draft: Stingley at 3,
Exactly.
Kenyon Green, Petrie, Mechie, Christian Harris, Damon Pierce, Travis Booker. Like, that's a dang good draft. And maybe the Kenyon Green's a little higher than he thought. He definitely has the tools to be a top tackle. We all loved Mechie. Jalen Petrie is a dang good quarterback out of Baylor, can play safety too. So what I'm saying is, like, New England's had these guys in here that have gotten a lot of flack. And go look at Ziegler, and he gets out of Bill Belichick, and what does he do? He makes maybe the biggest trade all offseason, gets Devontae Adams.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not these guys that we're thinking, and maybe it really is Bill, and
that's why it's hard.
That's why I think he maybe shouldn't have as much of a role in the GM front office chair.
That's why it's hard for me to defend Belichick as a GM anymore, because you see all these guys come and go through the Patriots front office. And as soon as they leave, they're making all these good moves, making all these good picks, and they're being aggressive, doing these things to go get guys to contribute. And we sit here and we have the same draft strategy every year of taking guys from Division III, from FCS, just from these low tier schools that haven't proved a lot. And we take them higher than anybody was willing to take them. And that's just the value there. For a team that stresses value so much, it's just surprising to see these picks that they're making, because they're bad value picks. And that's what it is at the end of the day. And you can't, it's hard to say that it's not Belichick, because we've seen all the guys who have been part of the front office come and go. And when they're gone, they make a lot of really good big moves. And even if it's not a big move necessarily, they make a lot of good moves, like Caserio, Derek Stingley at 3. This kid's a stud. I mean, I don't care what people say about the kid falling out of the top 10, going to 15, whatever. This kid is a baller, and they got their hands on the top cornerback in the draft. He's going to be good. They got John Mechie. They got a lot of guys with potential. Kenyon Green. They needed offensive line help. They got it. So that's what's frustrating about this, is that as great of a coach as Bill is, Bill the coach has to make up for so much of what Bill the GM does poorly.
Yeah. That's why in this comment, when it says "in Bill we trust," it should be "in Bill we trust coaching," not "in Bill we trust drafting," because that's literally how it is. Like, I trust Bill 1,000% in the coaching aspect. No questions asked, nothing. No, and none of us should. I mean, there might be some things that you don't like, but no one should question Bill Belichick on the coaching field. There is reason to question him in the draft room and in the front office chair, because there has been some questionable things the last couple of years. And, without Tom Brady saving our butts, that's why we're all sitting here we're kind of freaking out. So it's crazy. Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time, not a very good drafter, in the grand scheme of things. And he's certainly hit on some of his good picks. Like, you look at JC Jackson, guys like that, like, he has his fair share of picks, so he knows what he's doing. But you're just talking as a whole, it's been kind of a crazy ride to be a Patriots fan going through the drafts with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, exactly. And this comment I want to pull up again real quick, because I want to touch on it. Trey Flowers, that's what I was thinking of. If they had Trey Flowers after this draft, you feel a lot better about them not addressing defensive end at this point in the draft. Then you got a guy, even if it's a 1-year deal, who can stop the run. That's a great pairing with Matt Judon. Bring Trey Flowers back here for 1 year. I think then they can address linebacker, defensive tackle in this draft. And then maybe next year you take a shot on the defensive end to pair with Judon if Trey Flowers ends up leaving. So Beavers next. That would be a good pick. Oops. Oh boy. Oh, what just happened?
Wait, this is the big board that I have right here.
What is going on?
What'd you do?
I don't know what happened. My computer's going crazy.
Cole's computer's going crazy, but no, I still think adding a linebacker is got to be in the back of New England's mind. Even if they trust Cameron McGrone or guys like that, you got to have a backup plan if they don't pan out. And I think Beavers would be. Braxton Jones just went from Southern Utah. That's right by where I live. So
Oh, there we go. Ooh.
that's cool. I still think you got to look at linebackers, and there's a couple linebackers still there. Beavers, Damone Clark. I saw someone say that in there. Jack Sanborn isn't really a good cover guy, but he's there. Nephi Sewell's a guy that we've mocked. Darian Butler. There's late round guys that could come in and make an impact, but at this point, you're just looking for guys that can come in and maybe in 3 or 4 years develop into something. They're probably not going to be instant impact. I'd have more faith in Amfrey Jennings, Cameron McGrone over a guy that's taken at this point. The immediate starters that you're talking about for New England that could come in my opinion, Kingsley, it's the guys that are going across the screen right here, at positions that we need. Kellen Deesh, maybe not so much, but tackle for the future is something. Why not take a waiver on a guy like Kellen Deesh who has such high potential and all the intangibles that, he sits under Trent Brown or Isaiah Wynn for this year, and then he's the guy that takes over for Isaiah Wynn next year. So I think that there's positions here that make a lot of sense. I'm kind of excited to see where they go.
Yeah, and I think where they go the rest of the draft will tell you a lot about how they feel about certain positions. Like, so far, we've learned a lot about how they feel about linebacker based on who they've picked. One thing I wanted to touch on, a lot of the Patriots coaching staff talked about how the Patriots want to get faster on both sides of the ball at all levels during this offseason. They got Mac Wilson. The two guys they just drafted, well, not even Cole Strange. He's pretty athletic for his position. He's kind of a smaller guy, but he's got some athleticism and some toughness to him. Tyquan Thornton, relative athletic score 8.55 on that scale, and obviously the fastest wide receiver in the draft, ran a 4.28 at the combine. And then relative athletic score for Pierre Strong Jr., 9.35. So the two really elite athletes, the fastest at their positions coming into the draft. It's surprising that Belichick finally tries to get some guys with some speed. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But I like that they're trying this. Maybe they said, hey, our philosophy at wide receiver has never worked early on. We're going to go the complete opposite of what we've ever done. And maybe they ended up grabbing a guy with a ton of speed, who's got size, speed. If he bulks up a little bit, which we talked about it before we were on the live, the reason Tyreek Hill's a small guy, but the reason that he's been so successful in the NFL is because he's been able to stay healthy, because he's a stocky guy. Like he's got size to him for his height. He's filled out. So if Thornton can fill out a little bit, he's got size, he's got speed, he's got good contested catch ability, he's got good hands, even though they're on the smaller size. He doesn't drop a lot of footballs. So this kid's certainly got potential, and I like the mold of what they're going for. A guy who maybe won't contribute a ton this season, we'll see, because Nelson Aguilar's here, but he certainly seems to be that Nelson Aguilar replacement long term.
Yeah, I'm just, looking up some stuff. So, Mike says, you don't know how Bill Belichick feels about McMillan, Mac Wilson, and McGrone. Well, Mac Wilson's already a proven linebacker in the NFL that can get by, better than any of the linebackers we had last year. High praise for Raekwon McMillan. Would Bill Belichick re-sign McMillan to a 1-year deal after he tears his ACL if he didn't like him?
They like him a lot.
They like McMillan a lot. And same with Cameron McGrone. I think that he was such a good pick last year in the draft. And you asked down here, Peppers can play linebacker. Which linebacker remains on the field, a rookie? I would probably take McMillan at linebacker over Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers is just so small. I don't want him playing in the box. And I know that he can, but I think Bill is going to be smarter with that and use him at different ways, whether it's in the slot, whether it's in the post, whether it's, coming off of slot blitzes. I would hate to have someone like him have to play linebacker 50, 60 snaps a game, because I don't think he's going to hold up. That's why, we didn't like Nakobe Dean, Christian Harris, and these guys don't hold up in the NFL. Cameron McGrone's at least 6 foot, 234, and he, tested pretty well last year. And despite an injury, probably would have went earlier than what he was taken. And, so I like the Cameron McGrone pick. I'm all on board for giving him a chance this year and see what he does.
I agree. And they wouldn't keep talking about him when people ask them questions about linebacker if they didn't feel like they had some level of confidence in the kid. He's talented and speed wise, good for his size. You see him when you turn on the film. He's flying all over the field, and maybe he's not as fast as some of these other linebackers in this draft, but he's got the size speed combo with some solid coverage ability where he can be a piece that the Patriots use. not small enough where he's a liability in the run game, but not big enough where he's a liability in the pass game. He's got a good build for this new age linebacker, but a guy that the Patriots still covet, where he's got some of the size to him. So I like McGrone. I think he's going to contribute this year in hopefully a big way.
Okay, so I just pulled up Cameron McGrone's stuff off of last year. Trying to scroll down. So he didn't test, so we don't know any of his testing numbers. But
yeah, because he had
his
injury.
2019 stuff was impressive. 2020 was kind of an injury derailed year. Obviously, that's why he doesn't have much stuff. But I have full confidence in Cameron McGrone, and think that I would be really willing to give him a chance at the linebacker position to see what he does.
I agree.
So
it seems like they like him a lot.
He had 0 missed tackles in how many snaps? 276 snaps. So
Edward says you also do a live party when they decide to cut N'Keal Harry too. I want to celebrate it.
I do too.
I'm surprised they have not traded him yet. I'm not really sure what they're waiting for.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe they don't feel great about some of the rest of the guys in the draft, but they have 4 picks left, so it feels like they do. But maybe N'Keal is a piece they trade during OTAs, during training camp, once they see what they have in some of these other guys, like Trey Nixon. Maybe he takes a step, and then Tyquan Thornton, maybe he turns out to be something good, and they're like, all right, N'Keal, you're out of here. We feel good about Devontae Parker, what he brings, along with some of these new guys that we've drafted in the past couple of seasons. So that's going to be interesting. But I felt like he was a for sure guy they would trade during this draft, but they have not done so yet.
Yeah, I thought that they'd try to go N'Keal Harry in a 6th. They have 3 6-round picks. I thought they'd try to get into the 5th round, and they might. There's still 6 picks in the 5th round, so they might try to get up here before they pick next at 183. But I thought that they'd at least try to get into the 5th. That's kind of a big gap that they had since their last pick at 137 and now 183. So I thought that they'd use him or someone to get up there and try to get an extra pick, but they haven't done it. So like you said, maybe it's an OTA thing. Maybe it's maybe they trade N'Keal in the 7th for an extra 6, and now they get 4 6-round picks. And, now you can go Ariza, another receiver, a tackle, and someone else. Like
Slade
there's,
Bolden.
and yes, Slade Bolden, right? I don't expect N'Keal Harry to be traded until, like, they're probably calling teams and saying, hey, we want to trade up to your pick in 2 picks. We'll give you N'Keal Harry in a 7th. I don't think that you're going to hear like, oh, we traded N'Keal Harry for a 7th round pick and then have to wait 20 picks. It's probably going to be a spur of the moment thing. They're going to throw him in there.
Yeah, I would agree. When do you think the guy who robbed a Panda Express gets his first interception? Week 1, first play of the season on defense. That's when he's getting his first pick. Sign me up for the Harry trade party. Hey, seems like that's what everybody wants. Maybe we'll do a live show. We'll just throw a rager on here for N'Keal getting traded.
We'll have you RSVP on a Google Docs that will be here. So make sure you guys RSVP and can get there. In there. So what can we get for N'Keal Harry? 2 first-rounders, 4 second-rounders. I don't know. If you're giving up 2 first-rounders alone, that's probably Deebo Samuel right there. But
this is an odd question.
Yeah. Or maybe, do you think he's saying, what could you get for N'Keal Harry? There's supposed to be a comma. He's saying, like, we could get 2 first-rounders in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Is that what you think he's meaning?
Either way, it's crazy.
Either way, no, not realistic.
No, obviously he's joking if that's what he's saying. But yeah, I mean, I'd take a 6th or 7th round pick for N'Keal at this point. At least you're getting something back. Like, we've let these guys walk. Joe Tooney, all we got was a comp pick. JC Jackson, all we're getting is a comp pick. We've let these guys walk. Not that N'Keal Harry is anywhere near the value that those guys are, but I'm saying Patriots care so much about value, but they're willing to let these guys walk for nothing. If you're not going to use him, trade him, get some value back, and that can turn into something. I mean, how many 7th round picks have the Patriots had that turn into something at some point? So throw a dart at the dartboard, see what happens. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. Couple guys coming off the board. Ty Chandler. That's a running back that we mocked to New England, but in the 6th or 7th, you get Pierre Strong here. I think Pierre Strong's probably a better 3-down back, but maybe Ty Chandler's more of a pass catcher right now. So interesting pick there. We're within 10 picks until New England's back on the clock. So
yeah.
See what they do here at 183. Someone asked, where do we go at 183? What are your thoughts right here? Depth tackle, guy that can come in and replace. I mean, our guess is just as, it's like throwing a dart on a massive USA-sized dartboard. You ain't going to get close to where you think you're going to, but
yeah,
what are you thinking?
Obviously, we've touched on, this too. Stephon Gilmore for 6'2", such bad value. And then you trade a second for Mohamed Sanu. Anyways, on that question.
Well, we got a second for Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Finesse. And Bailey Zappi is going to be a future 2nd-round pick. We're going to trade him in 4 years.
Exactly.
When Mac Jones is an MVP type of player, and Bailey Zappi has started 4 games because the NFL hates New England's getting back up there, and they suspend him for the first 4 games, and Bailey Zappi goes off, then he'll be worth a 2nd-rounder.
Yes, exactly. But no, the Patriots have been all over the place. So back to this question real quick. Like we've touched on, we still need a tackle. Who's going to replace Isaiah Wynn eventually, unless they feel good about him, which I don't know why. I don't know why they do based off his year last year and his health the previous 3 years. But whatever. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But we need a tackle. We address guard. I still think they should grab a linebacker. I think they have to address defensive tackle and defensive end. We grabbed a corner. They still haven't taken a safety. I think that's a long-term need with Devin McCourty on his last year. He's probably going to retire after the season. So I think that's something they need to address. So those are the positions that I would guess. Saying that, they're probably going to draft another quarterback for absolutely no reason and shock us all. So it's hard to tell because the Patriots are zigging when everybody else thinks they're going to zag, and that's just what they kind of always do.
They're playing chess.
You could say they're playing chess. Maybe they're playing like, I don't know what they're playing. They're playing bingo while everybody else is playing chess. It seems like this draft, but whatever.
Damone Clark, he's going to have spinal fusion surgery, so they're projecting him to be out. So if you want to take him, I think he's a good player at this point, but he's going to be another Cameron McGrone where you're not going to see him hit the field for another year. And I mean, maybe New England can afford to do that if they really trust the other linebackers in the room, but that's what it is right now. He will most likely not be ready for any of the first 10, 12, and most likely not all the years. So he's just a guy that would come in and be a red shirt for sure.
We're coming up here on the Pats pick. Matt Ariza, still not off the
we're playing craps.
Ariza's still not off the board, which is kind of surprising. So maybe if he's there, they take him. Who knows? And then trade Jake Bailey for a future pick, and you clear that salary. I'm sure Slater's going to retire too. Yeah, I mean, when Slater was interviewed, he said that he told McCourty he's not coming back unless McCourty is. So if McCourty's gone, maybe Slater's gone next year as well, which is tough. That's 2 tremendous leaders. And Hightower, obviously on the field, what he did last year was not good, but as a leader, Hightower is going to be missed in this locker room. So losing all these ginormous leaders in consecutive years. I mean, we lost Brady, obviously. Van Noy's gone. Hightower's probably gone, obviously. D-Mac and Slater gone next year. It's a new era of Patriots football, and that's why we need to hit on these draft picks to get some guys who are going to be leaders and good football players to be the next Devin McCourty, the next Matt Slater, Dante Hightower, the future of the Patriots franchise.
I'm seeing a lot of Slade and Bo Melton stuff, and so just know, guys, that how this draft has gone, and every time in our chat, when you put a name in the chat, that means they ain't getting taken. So
keep going with the Slade
Bo
and
Melton
Bo Melton.
or Slade Bolden, do not put their name down in the chat, or you're just jinxing them. I swear Bill has a freaking hotline in here, and he's just looking, and he's like, all right, take Bo Melton off the board. Even though he loves him, he's taking him off.
Nope, I don't care. He's from Rutgers.
Yes.
Nope. As much as I love it. Nope, can't do it.
Yes. Let's see. Cardona replacement, off the field character issues from this last season. I mean, that would be a reach, taking a long snapper in the 6th. But Bo Melton, Slade Bolden. I would still say that even in the 6th, it's a reach for Slade Bolden. But at this point, who cares? Patriots fans would just be happy that they got him, right? That would be the best pick of the draft for Patriots, for most Patriots fans.
I hope we can get some of these old guys as coaches. Yeah, that would be cool. Brian Hoyer, everybody's talked about as a quarterback coach. He's getting paid way more as a backup quarterback than he would be as a quarterback coach. But I hope he comes back to the Patriots after his career is done as a QB coach. I mean, we currently don't have one, so hopefully that's what he does. And then I wonder if Hightower will retire this year. He doesn't have many options on the board, I would assume. So we'll see what he does. But maybe he's a guy like Gerard Mayo when he comes back here on the defense side of the ball and tries to coach. It's going to be interesting to see what some of these guys want to do. Post-career, a lot of them don't want to go through the grind of what a coach has to do, and they just want to relax. They made their money. They don't have to do this if they don't want to. But some of them who are just diehard, passionate football fans outside of just playing football really love the game and want to come back and coach.
Yeah, coaching's for guys like me who didn't make it in college football and then now is a graduate assistant because he loves the game, and that's how you get your Division I football fix. That's what coaching is for. But I mean, Bill has had a track record of bringing in former players. I mean, and look at him. There's been a lot of former players. Mike Vrabel, head coach. Gerard Mayo's on roster or on staff right now. There's been guys that he's brought in that have panned out to be good coaches. So
you should have declared for the draft this year. Belichick probably would have taken you round 1. I mean, you never know. So
I'm gonna call him and ask him if I could get a
you always have a shot.
Job.
No, not to coach, to play.
No, I know, but I want to be an analyst and tell him how dumb his draft is. So, Matthew, I know this is a Pats podcast, but the Ravens absolutely fleece the entire NFL. I would say the Ravens probably have the best draft. The Jets have a dang good draft, too.
I'd say Jets first, then Ravens, but Ravens have had such a good draft. Giants started off good, too.
The Jets alone because of the players they got, right? But you're talking value. Kyle Hamilton at 14.
Oh, yeah.
Linderbaum at 25. Ajabo at 45. Travis Jones at 76. And then they had 6 fourth-round picks. I mean, I think that even alone, those first 4 picks right there, those are all first-round grades I had on those guys. I mean, and Kyle Hamilton falling to 14 when he was supposedly the number 2 pick for a long time in top 5. So the Ravens have made out really good. The Colts have actually done sneakily. I think that they had a pretty dang good draft, taking Alec Pierce, Jelani Woods, Bernhard Raymond, Nick Cross. I think that they are doing decent things. But I would say the 2 for me and the Giants. The Giants had a pretty good draft, getting Thibodeau and Evan Neal. But yeah, I think the Jets and the Ravens have made out of this draft incredible. Almost like what the Patriots did last year, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, last year, that's what everybody was talking about. Oh, Patriots, great value. Mac Jones at 15. You got Barmore. You got Ronnie Perkins, who fell because of some off-field concerns maybe as well. Patriots had a great draft last year, and that was like, oh, great value for all these guys. And now it's like the complete opposite. Oh, Patriots are getting horrible value for all these players. This guy's a 3rd-round pick that took him in the 1st. This guy's a 4th-round pick that took him in the 2nd. So it's such a philosophy change. It's just interesting. They also, last year, Alabama, Oklahoma, like some big name schools, Michigan. And this year, it's kind of been the opposite again. So I don't know. This is such a change in philosophy this year from last year's draft. But really, if you look at it, last year was kind of the outlier of getting great players, consensus Patriot fits for good value. That's kind of the outlier of what the Patriots do. Usually it's small name guys reaching on players, finding some steals late in the draft, usually finding some steals in undrafted free agency. But I don't know. Gabe says ban any Slade mentions in this comment section so that we can get him.
Matthew Butler just went to the Raiders. So a D tackle that we had on our board. The D tackle list, someone that we've mocked a lot is Noah Ellis, big old dude from Idaho, 6'4", 346. I feel like he's just a big body in the middle. I don't know if he's like a great defensive tackle and he's not going to do much rushing the passer, but he's going to take up a lot of space. Haskell Garrett out of Ohio State, 6'5", 300. There's a couple big body guys that you can get here. John Ridgway, Marquin McCall. Those are guys that have been mocked to New England before at the D-line position if New England wants to bulk up there with Lawrence Guy and a couple other guys there. So
Houston's draft has been good. Yeah.
Houston has. Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about with Caserio. So QB in the 4th. This is what we talked about. Whether you know this or not, New England's taken 7 third or fourth round quarterback since 2001. So this is not something that's surprising. Maybe it's a little bit more surprising this year because you just take your franchise quarterback in the first last year. But Stidham's not the backup quarterback.
This is his last year too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, so Zappy's going to come in, be here for 4 years, learn behind Mac, and then trade him away or let him walk. Like, it's no harm done. Yeah, it's early to take a quarterback in the fourth right there, but we didn't have a 5th round pick. Who knows who falls there? There was better value on the board, but I mean that's a Patriots thing to do. They've done it 7 times since 01. It's something that we've seen them do. It's not like a crazy thing. It's not taking Cole Strange in the first round.
You had to remind me that we did that, huh? That's not very nice. Yeah, I wonder if they get value for Stidham. I wonder if they play him more snaps during some like joint practices with other teams in training camp. Maybe during preseason he gets some good looks, and maybe a team takes a shot on him. You see backup quarterbacks go for value sometimes for teams who are desperate for quarterbacks, just to throw him in the competition. And I mean, he had potential at one point. We thought he was going to start for this team before we signed Cam Newton. And even then, people were calling for Jarrett Stidham to start. So he's shown some flashes at certain aspects. That first year, his first preseason, he was really solid and looked like he might be a guy in the future. So maybe somebody takes that tape and that film that they've seen from him, and maybe they take a shot on him, and we get something of value, a day 3 pick at some point, and just reset the clock on the backup quarterback. And we got a new guy who's going to be here for the next 4 years. And at the end of the day, that's what the Patriots do. If they liked a guy here, they would have taken him over the quarterback. That's what it is. So they like this kid. They think he's going to be the backup for the team. He's got potential, and maybe he's got value in the future as well. Who knows?
Yeah. Damone Clark just went to the Cowboys, so he's off the board. If that was a linebacker that you guys were interested in, I saw a couple guys there. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Stidham, a lot of Patriots fans wanted him to maybe start over Cam, and he got his shot a couple times, and you saw why he can't be a starting NFL quarterback, but he can be a viable, and maybe 1 or 2 games he breaks out and has a really good game, carries you to a victory, because he was a dang good prospect coming out of high school, but not consistent enough. That's why you go get a Bailey Zappi guy like this that threw for 5,800 yards, 62 touchdowns, sets college football records, and you let him sit there and see what he can turn into behind Mac, and maybe you flip him for another 4th in 4 years, or a 3rd, or who knows what they do with him. But now you have a viable option if your franchise quarterback gets hurt in a game and you have to have Bailey Zappi start for 2 or 3, because depending on how he picks up the scheme, which he's a very smart guy, I think that he'll pick it up. I'd probably feel more comfortable with Zappi than Hoyer in there, even though Hoyer's known the system for so long, but you're probably getting higher upside with Zappi going into the game and his passing ability. So it's a give or take thing.
Yeah, the Patriots have seen what Stidham has. They know what he is as a player. You know what I mean? They've seen him more than anybody else. They want to take this guy. They haven't seen what he has on an NFL field. Maybe they feel like he has more upside, and maybe during preseason and all that stuff, maybe this is a guy that in 4 years from now, we trade him for value and we just reset and get the next quarterback, and we don't have to pay a backup quarterback good money because we're drafting these young kids. Or maybe this guy ends up being a long-term backup here. He's super smart. I can see this being a guy the Patriots want to keep long-term as a backup. Maybe he wants to get a shot eventually of starting, and maybe he doesn't want to resign, whatever. But this is a really smart kid who's got good intangibles, and that's what you want to see from a backup quarterback, a guy who's going to be able to process well, understand the playbook, help Mac out with what he's seeing at times. They can bounce ideas off each other. That's what you want, especially with Hoyer in the room for the next 2 years. This kid's got some great people to learn from, and hopefully can be a long-term backup for this team. Yeah,
no harm done there. Something that at least gives New England some insurance in case something goes wrong here. But let's see who's up. Lions. They should go Carson Strong here. Take a quarterback. Who do they go?
Get some SEC guys here, Bill. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gone big names. Any Alabama. I mean, Josh Job's still on the board. I don't think they really need a corner after drafting 2, but Slade Bolden from Bama. There's a couple Bama guys left on the board, but
So you got FCS Chattanooga, then you got Baylor, Big 12. You got Houston, which is AAC right now, going to be Big 12, and then Pac-12, Arizona State. Then you got Western Kentucky, who's a group of 5, and then you got another FCS school from Pierre Strong Jr. So the whole FCS thing and stuff, I know that people are going to always want to talk about the value, play there, but it really doesn't matter. There's been some great FCS players. I mean, the level of competition, and these guys dominate at that level of competition. The numbers put up by Pierre Strong, running a 4.37, 1,600 yards, 7 yards per carry, 800 plus yards after contact. Like it's going to translate, and he's still raw on pass catching, and that's probably why he's not a top end running back, but he has all the tools to be a third down back. And this is what the NFL's built on it at the running back position, is finding guys like this that can turn into gems, in 2 or 3 years. Maybe, I don't expect him to see much of the field this year with Ramondre, James White still there, and Damian Harris. But if Damian Harris is gone next year and it's Ramondre and Pierre Strong, I'd feel comfortable, because we all know Ramondre can catch the ball in the backfield.
Yeah, Ramondre is a guy who can certainly play on all 3 downs, and that's what we want to see. Damian Harris is a stud. He's had his injury concerns a little bit. He runs. He's such an aggressive physical runner that it's hard not to get hurt when you're a running back, and it's hard to stay healthy for 17 games now, plus the playoffs. If you make it, it's tough. So if they don't want to pay Damian Harris, which they don't usually like giving guys second contracts at that running back position, this is a guy who can come in, has a lot of potential. If they like what they see from him this year, maybe Damian Harris is on the outside looking in, unless he wants to come back here for a good a team-friendly deal. I think they can work something out. I don't think Dame's going to be demanding top dollar by any means. He's a good player. He's a great fit in New England. He's a Patriot-type guy. Same with the media. All his answers are Patriot-type answers. He loves Mac. They're best buds. He wants to be here with all the Bama guys. And, obviously, it's a business at the end of the day. So if he has a better opportunity, maybe he'll take that. But I think if you told him he's getting the same offer every single place, I think he's going to come back to choose New England. It just seems like where he wants to be. So maybe they don't want him back, and I don't really know why that would be the case, but maybe they have a guy in Strong where they feel like he's going to be a better replacement. But Damian Harris is a beast. So yeah. I like the pick we made. We got a guy with some potential.
Yeah. Did we get an outside corner at all? Marcus Jones, he plays bigger than his size at 5'8", but he projects to be a good slot corner. Jack Jones is still 5'10 and a half. He's more of a slot corner, but he played 577 snaps at wide corner last year compared to his 40 in the slot. So he's played the majority of his snaps at wide corner, and that was in 2021. In 2020, he didn't play a lot because of the COVID year, 59 at wide corner, and then he was at 546 wide corner snaps in 2019. So he's played the majority of his snaps at wide corner now. His size, that's what we were saying, is we'd like to get bigger out there. When you're thinking of guardings, the AJ Browns, those guys, which are always a mismatch, but these guys, if they're playing on the outside, are a little bit more of a mismatch. So we didn't get a bigger bodied corner, but Jack Jones can definitely play outside cornerback if that's where they want to do him, especially with Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones now at the interior spots.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll grab a guy undrafted. They seem to always do that, but usually those undrafted guys are more small guys, and that's why they're where they are. So I don't know. I felt like we should get some type of sure.
Where is it? UT Chattanooga or something? Is that where he's from? Or is it TU Chudabuga? I don't know where he's from. So
no, the Rams actually just picked him a couple picks ago.
They did.
The Rams just took Cole Strange. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah. I thought they should have taken maybe a big. That's what we wanted in round 1. Andrew Booth. He's a guy. What was he? 6 feet tall? 6 feet.
Andrew
6'1"?
Booth. Yeah, right at 6 foot.
So that's an outside corner. I think if we would have taken him, then you could have taken Cole Strange in the 2nd or 3rd round. It would have been a better value, and we would have gotten a bigger outside corner. And then these other picks, Marcus Jones, that pick looks a lot better because now you get a slot guy who's versatile, can do things on special teams, defense, and even offense at some points if you really wanted to. That pick would look even better if you got a guy like Andrew Booth in the 1st round, because you get an outside corner and you get some slot help, a guy who's got some speed to him. Maybe he can run in the slot with some of these guys like Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, etc. in this division. So I did like that pick though, but I feel like a bigger body outside receiver is still a need for this team. Maybe they feel comfortable with Malcolm Butler, I guess, and some of these other guys that we added in the offseason, but it's this is where they've gone so far.
Dang, Green Bay just went Kingsley Ngbare at 179, so 4 picks before us. Yeah. Cole, someone in the comments asked, how do we know so much football? Said, how the F do you, bad word, know so much football?
Watching it, doing research, talking about it all the time, bouncing things off each other. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we've been doing this whole process since the Patriots lost, like the draft process. We watched the Senior Bowl, the Combine. We have PFF's access. We watch all 22 film. It's really just, a lot of work that we've put in watching these guys and listening to other people and then kind of forming our own opinions off of what we think New England needs. So not that our football knowledge is 100% correct, but it's just kind of our opinions mostly on how we see New England going. So
yeah, exactly. Mike says we need a D tackle to free up Barmore. Yeah, that was one thing that Travis Jones fell very far, and we loved him. He would have been a great guy who's a good run stuffing defensive tackle who can free up Barmore a little bit to where they balance each other out. Barmore is not as great in the run game, but he's a dominant pass rusher. Travis Jones holds his own in the pass and rushing the passer, but he's really a run stuffing D tackle, and that would have been a good balance there for those guys. So they still could go, if they like one here, maybe they still go with a guy like that. Devon Godshaw's on his last year of his deal. Who knows? He didn't have the best year last year. He didn't really live up to the contract. So maybe they take a shot on a guy here to be his replacement.
Yeah. I'm just updating the best available since Kingsley went. Let's see. Who would I put? Oh, Buffalo went Ariza.
No way,
Screw
dude.
Buffalo.
Oh my God.
3 picks before us.
Great. We're gonna have to see this dude in I mean, they didn't even punt against us. Does it matter?
Yeah, that's true. He's gonna be hitting 80 yarders against us. Dang.
Oh, wow, come on.
That's crazy.
Alex Barth is gonna be pissed. He loves Matt Ariza so much.
Oh gosh, now I have to deal with interdivision.
God, these division rivals just take everybody we want. The Dolphins didn't have a pick till late last night, and they took who'd they take? Was it
Tyndall?
Tyndall, yeah, they took Tyndall first.
Freaking idiots! I hate this. This is so stupid.
Don't
get your hopes up, guys. Whoever you think it's going to be here in 2 picks, it ain't going to be them. So
Matt Ariza could uncork a 99-yard punt with Buffalo wind at his back. Oh no.
Yeah, the Pats I think, well, maybe they didn't, but I would say that the Pats were probably interested on Ariza even at 183.
I've got to think that they would. Yeah, I don't know.
It would surprise me.
Watch, they'll take a punter here, but not Ariza.
I don't even know who are the ones that are still available.
I don't know. I didn't do a lot of work on the punter class this year
because we were so set on Matt Ariza.
Yeah, the dream.
Rest in peace.
Coming up here, a couple picks. What, we got 2 more picks? The Eagles and the Giants.
So the Eagles just traded up to 181, and then the Giants will be before us.
Okay. Light Shadows, what's up? Jeez, you're late. Where you been? We've been going for an hour 20. Just came to the stream late. Yeah. It's time. It's time to believe. Bo Melton. Let's see.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Bo. I wouldn't mind Bo Melton here. Get another speedy receiver that fits more of a slot role.
We got 4 picks left. We got 183, 200, 217, maybe. Sounds right. And 1 more.
Just so you guys know, our plan is probably after pick 183, we're going to hop off of the live. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, but we're going to do a clip of the rest of the picks. So be looking for that either later tonight, probably more realistically tomorrow morning, just so we can edit the video, get it up. And then we'll go live on Tuesday, I'm assuming, to recap the whole draft and be looking for individual clips on each player, maybe, what we thought of each player. But that will be covered mostly in the live on Tuesday. So plan on our next live after we get off on here to be Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we hope all you guys are in here, and you guys have already liked and subscribed, so you guys stay up to date. Post notifications are on, so you guys know when we're live and you don't have to be guessing. So we appreciate all the support, though. We've been planning this draft show for like 3 months, and even though it wasn't as exciting as we thought it would be, it was still pretty fun to do and sit here and hang out and talk with you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. So yeah, we'll react to this pick that's coming up in a second, and then we'll hop off and we'll have a video out tomorrow reacting to the rest of the draft. They got 3 more picks after this one. So they got 183 in the 6th round, 6th round 200, 6th round 210, and then 7th round 245. That's their last 4 picks they got. So
Gabe says Bo would eliminate Slade possibilities. So Gabe, let us know in the chat, everyone. Bo Melton, Slade Bolden. You can only choose one. Who's it going to be? Let us know. Ariza is gone. Yes, he went to AFC East rival Buffalo. Screw Buffalo. A lot of people want Darian Beavers. Oh, Bo, surprisingly.
Interesting.
Did we take edge or D-line, D tackle? No, we have not taken it yet.
Not yet.
I think that's probably coming up here shortly. Bo. Geez, I thought more people would like Slade Bolden over Bo, but it's the Rutgers thing, huh?
Yeah. Patriots love Rutgers too.
Do they like Rutgers or Bama more?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Bama because it's a big school, but Rutgers because it's a small, you know what I mean? Rutgers is a small school. They love that. Nothing
okay.
Yet, huh?
Okay. Geez, I got to fire up my Twitter again and get everything ready to go.
Have you seen the Eagles pick yet? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they went Kyron Johnson out of Kansas, edge defender.
Jesus, PFF stuff.
Giants on the clock. I think that the people that leaked all the first round tweets are just sick of tweeting and they're like, screw this. So they're done leaking the 6th round pick. So it's just PFF now.
I guess so. Let me see.
Best linebacker edges available. I guess I can share this screen with you guys. I haven't done this yet. So this is the best linebackers available according to PFF. I would say Beavers would be number 1. Dolman's a little undersized, and he played a lot of nickel reps, so that's seems a little awkward. Malcolm Rodriguez, I like out of Oklahoma State, but he's got the same thing. He's 5'11". I mean, he's just like Nakobe Dean. He's just short. And I just think Bill likes length at the linebacker position. So Jack Sanborn's a guy, but he's not very good in pass coverage. I mean, the thing is when you get in the 6th round at these positions, there's guys that are good at certain things and then not good at other things. That's why they're so far down here. Maybe they're really athletic and have good size, but they suck at the position, or they can't cover for a lick, but they can stop the run. And they're not as polished as the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round guys. That's why they're falling here. So a lot of these guys have, question marks in their game. So you're not really going to find a true prospect that we really love. There might be a good scheme fit, and then here's the D-line, Curtis Brooks. I like Noah Ellis. I would say Noah Ellis, Haskell Garrett, Marquin McCall's a guy I've heard New England want to draft a lot too. 6'3", 342, big nose tackle here. Guy that will take up space, maybe fit Lawrence guy. So
yeah, I mean, guys who are here in the 6th round, none of these guys are perfect prospects. You know what I mean? Or else they'd be gone in the first 3 rounds. So certainly some guys fit better than others, but let's see. Giants still haven't picked yet, huh?
No, they're picking right now. Darian Beavers.
Unbelievable.
A pick me for us. Oh my gosh. God.
This is the worst draft.
Kidding me.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. 6'3", almost 6'4", 237. This probably would have been my favorite pick here. Started his career at UConn and then got to Cincinnati.
That's
Gosh.
crazy.
Beavers ain't the pick, period. He is the pick before us, so that's false. The Giants went Darian Beavers. I would have liked him a lot.
This draft is just, I don't know what to say.
All right, New England's on the clock. I can't believe that shit just happened.
This is like Matt Ariza and Darian Beavers.
Oh, gosh.
And 2 out of the 3 consecutive picks before the
That's
Patriots.
so funny. What is this? Round 5 pick. What is it?
183.
183.
Yeah. 6th round. Sorry, not 5th.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We didn't have a 5th rounder.
All right. What do you guys think? What do you think they're taking?
I wouldn't mind going tackle here. I think there's some good tackles on the board. Kellen Deesh. We got a snitch in the Pats building telling everyone what we want. Yeah. No, I'm telling you guys, they're just in this chat and they're freaking taking them off of us. So
every pick.
Pick still isn't in. Oh, pick is in. Oh, we get to watch it live.
Do we?
I'm watching it live. No.
Why are we taking another running back?
What the hell? Oh my gosh. Was that the wrong card they turned in? This is the true pass catcher, in my opinion. It's not funny, but it's funny, guys. It's not funny, but it's funny. Like, oh my gosh. Two running backs taken. I mean,
yes, this is the Patriots draft right here. I'm just going to leave this comment up because this is how I continue to feel every time that
I just want one of these draft guys to just start roasting New England. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, who are these guys that they're taking? What's their draft process? I'm ready for Mel Kiper to lay in.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, once we update this, then we're probably locking off. We started the day off promising with our first 2 picks and didn't really end that way.
God, why are all these pictures of these prospects so like blurry? It's so hard to find a good picture of any of these guys.
Cole has such a hard time finding pictures of these guys.
Oh my God,
you guys should have heard him if you were in here for the live on day 1. He was struggling to find Cole Strange photos.
Oh my God, yeah, because the kid, yeah. Look at me.
Hey, they don't have enough money to pay photographers there. They can't pay photographers at wherever he came from. TU Chattanooga.
Oh my God. Can't find anything.
Guys, I just laughing now. It's at this point, it's just I'll try to find some stats on him before we get out of here. Wishbone offense this year.
Wave the white flag. Yeah, here we go. Hashtag strange. There we go. That's the new one that's sticking up there for a few minutes. All right. Well, there you go, guys. Maybe we need to not be live for the picks anymore because every time we are, they pick somebody that is a very much a head scratcher. It's not that he's a bad player. It's just we just took a running back, and we already have Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, James White, JJ Taylor. That's the, I guess, confusing part.
No, nothing's confusing about this. We all saw this coming. Are you guys serious?
I really wonder about Damian Harris at this point.
See, I would have just liked them, like, just go tackle. Go Kellen Deesh right there. Get a guy that can develop under Mac and yeah. So at the combine, he didn't test his 40, 21 bench press reps, 38.5-inch vertical jump, and what is that? Over 10-2. Is that a 10-2? 10-2 broad jump. His NFL comparison's Carlos Hyde. His name's Kevin Harris. Oh, gosh, Amare Barno's still on the board, too. Gosh, he's got crazy good speed off the edge. I would have liked him.
That seems like another Uche body build, though. As far as like
definitely
not much of a run stopper, more of a speed guy off the edge, but sorry, we're not reacting more right this second.
Kevin Harris. Why can't I find his like? Let me go to give me a minute. I'm pulling them up.
What's his name?
Kevin Harris.
Kevin Harris.
Yeah, see, I would have been a bigger fan of just going tackle there.
I feel like we got a lot of positions in need, and running back is not really the one. But
well, not after you just addressed it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we just addressed it.
Yeah. And the thing is he wasn't even the top running back out of South Carolina. Zaquandre White was. He was like the dude there.
Yeah, exactly.
So he had 153 rush. Okay, so in 2020 he was better. He had 185 yards or 185 attempts on 1,100 yards and 15 touchdowns. I don't know what happened last year. He had 158 attempts on 655 yards and 4 touchdowns. He averages 3.4 yards after contact.
What is it with all the same last names? Damian Harris, Kevin Harris. We got Emilion Jones.
Yeah, it's weird. Where's his what's his receiving?
I think he had like 200 and something receiving yards this year.
Only 89 receiving yards last year.
Is it 200 career then? 280 something?
274 career. Interesting. So you get 2 running backs that are pretty run heavy in college, not too much pass catching productivity.
When we need a pass catching running back after James White. It's odd.
Yeah. Max Borhe, if anything, yeah, people were calling him Rex Burkhead 2.0.
I mean, they're good at taking running backs, so
they are good at taking running backs.
I just feel like we need to start to get good at taking other positions because we got a lot of holes still on the team that we haven't.
And yeah.
So I mean, overall, he's a good player.
They're back up in 13 picks for us to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. We just took a running back. We just took a running back and we just kind of took another. I mean, if this guy was a pass catching running back, I could understand it more because that's still a position of need, I would say. But we just kind of took a running back with a similar build style to this guy. I mean, this guy's less of a speed back. This guy's less of a speed back than Pierre Strong, but good player. He had solid amount of touchdowns. Rushing yards was good. He averaged the most rushing yards, I think they said, in the SEC this year per game at like 100 and something, 117, 120, something like that. So he's a good player. Just kind of readdressing a position that wasn't really a position of need. So a little bit of a confusing pick yet again. I'm sure he's going to be a good player for the Patriots. I wonder what this means for Damian Harris's future. I'm assuming he's probably gone.
I think it's a writing on the wall, right?
Yeah, it's kind of what it seems like. So that's kind of unfortunate. I like Damian Harris. He's a good player for us, but they love to have running back depth. They got it here. I don't know. Seems like, I don't know. Maybe they feel good about Isaiah Wynn. I don't know why, but maybe they do because they haven't taken tackle yet.
No, I can get them feeling good about Isaiah Wynn for this year, but if they don't bring him back next year, say maybe he has a super good year and
they have Isaiah Wynn for this year, and they have Trent Brown for the next 2. That's it.
Yeah.
So tackles a need long term.
Yeah, and so you go get a guy that's young that you take Kellen Deesh, some of the tackles available, Jameer Sawyer. Where's that's interior? Yeah, you still got guys that are ranked in PFF's top 100 on the board available at 183. Sawyer, Kellen Deesh, Chris Paul's not bad out of Tulsa, not the Suns point guard, don't worry. Rashad Walker out of Penn State. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of shocking. But we'll see. 3 picks left as of right now.
Let's answer this before we hop off. Quick assessment of this year's draft. What grade would you give? I got to agree with Jungle, C-. Reaching on too many picks, not taking a lot of high impact first year players. There's been so many talented players on the board for the Patriots that they just pass on. But we can't really give it a true grade. We'll come back here next year before the draft and give you guys a grade based on the production these guys have compared to all the guys that we wanted the Patriots to take. So that'll be a better understanding. Yeah, White is better. At least we're getting close to the Slade Bolden pick.
Yeah. I agree. It was probably at C+ before, and maybe after this pick, double dipping at running back. Would anyone have thought that?
I mean,
probably
this team
put it as a C-.
This team has not addressed the front 7 at all
on either side. Well, on defense, they did address it on offense. Sorry, on the defensive side, yeah.
That's odd. That's really odd. I mean, we knew we needed secondary help. They got a couple corners, but they didn't get a big outside corner like everybody thought. We'll see.
Bill always seems Michael Winnu was a 6th-round guy, so take a chance on a guy like this and see if he turns into something. I would love Kellen Deesh here coming up at 200 or Jameer Sawyer, but we'll see. 3 picks left, 200, 210, 245. So, guys, we're going to probably hop off here. Make sure you guys are looking for our clips, like, subscribe, and be looking for our live on Thursday or on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time so we can kind of wrap up the whole thing. But Cole, you got anything?
No, that's it. We'll go over all these picks. We're gonna record a clip today or tonight, whatever, and have that out for you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. First couple days of the draft. Hopefully, the rest of the draft we get somebody that we're all excited about. But we appreciate you guys hanging out here, watching the draft with us for today. We will, like I said, make a clip tonight and talk to you guys tomorrow. Then Tuesday, maybe we'll have some film or something to break down some of these prospects. Continue to get into a deeper dive of Patriots draft, and maybe cooler heads will prevail, and we'll feel better about the draft, having taken a step back and looking at the whole thing. So until next time, we will talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.